A simple 2009 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, ordinary at first glance, hiding one of the most shocking secrets in American coin history. And tonight, we're going to uncover it sounds unbelievable. But the truth behind this coin story is stranger, rarer, and far more valuable than anyone ever imagined. It began in 2009, the year the U.S. Mint celebrated Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday. To honor the occasion, four unique reverse designs were released, each telling a different chapter of Lincoln's life. But among these commemorative issues, one batch stood out. A batch that should never have existed, because buried within ordinary circulation, mixed with billions of common copper-coated zinc pennies, a few rare 2009 no-mint mark Lincoln cents began to appear, coins struck with mysterious die varieties, strange double impressions, and metal compositions that didn't match anything recorded by the mint. And here's where it gets wild, collectors started whispering about it online. "Have you seen it?" one user wrote in a coin forum. "A 2009 penny with no mint mark, heavier than normal, and the reverse looks off." At first, no one believed it. A penny with no mint mark? That's normal for coins made in Philadelphia. But these were different. Some weighed closer to the old copper pennies from before 1982, not the zinc ones used in 2009. Others showed faint doubling on Lincoln's eye, his coat, or even the log cabin reverse, a ghostly second image stamped into the metal like an echo frozen in time. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One collector from Ohio brought his unusual 2009 penny to a local show. The coin felt heavier, brighter, almost alive in the light. A dealer took one glance, then pulled out his scale. When the numbers came up, the man's jaw dropped. It weighed 3.11 grams, the old solid copper standard. The penny was supposed to be zinc. That discovery sent shockwaves through the hobby. Experts confirmed it was a rare transitional error, a 2009 no-mint mark Lincoln cent struck on a leftover copper planchet that shouldn't have existed since 1982. And when that coin went to auction, it fetched nearly $1 million. But that's the magic of coin collecting. Every tiny mistake, every forgotten detail in the minting process, can turn an ordinary coin into a life-changing discovery. And this 2009 penny has more than one version to look out for. In 2009, the mint released 4 reverses: the birth and early childhood in Kentucky, showing Lincoln's humble log cabin, the formative years in Indiana, where a young Lincoln sits on a log reading by candlelight, the professional life in Illinois, where he stands proudly before the state capitol, and the presidency in Washington, D.C., showing the unfinished Capitol dome, symbolizing a nation still under construction. But among these designs, there were secrets. Some coins were struck with doubling on the words E pluribus unum, or on Lincoln's hands and books in the formative years design. Others had die cracks running like lightning bolts across the log cabin or the dome, because a 2009 penny that looks normal could be hiding a composition error or a double die, and that's the kind of mistake that turns spare change into treasure. But that's not all. Collectors also discovered another chilling clue. Some 2009 pennies from uncirculated sets and rolls showed strange plating bubbles, weak strikes, and even off-center impressions, the result of worn dies and rushed production during the recession year. The mint was under pressure, and in that chaos, errors slipped through. One coin even showed inverted lettering, a minting mistake so rare, only a handful were ever confirmed. Those sold for thousands, before the first $1 million specimen ever appeared. And here's the part most people miss: there's a difference between the 4 reverse designs, but also between the metals. Some 2009 no-mint mark pennies were struck in 95% copper for collector sets, while circulation coins were zinc. If a copper one escaped into circulation, you might never notice, unless you weigh it. 3.11 grams means copper. 2.5 grams means zinc. To honor the original Lincoln cent composition for collectors. But no one expected some of those copper coins to slip into general circulation, yet somehow, they did. You're counting change at a gas station. You see a 2009 penny, dull from age. You almost toss it aside. But something tells you to look closer. The surface shines differently. You drop it on the counter, it rings. You put it on a scale, 3.11 grams. You've just discovered what could be one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents in existence. Another version, the 2009 Formative Years Double Die Obverse, shows clear doubling on Lincoln's thumb and fingers. These are real, confirmed by PCGS and NGC, and high-grade examples have sold for thousands. Combine that doubling with a copper planchet error, and you're looking at a seven-figure coin. Dealers across the country are hunting these coins. Online marketplaces buzz with rumors. Some sellers list ordinary 2009 pennies for hundreds, hoping they've struck gold. But only trained eyes, or lucky hands, can spot the real treasure, and here's the most incredible part: no one knows how many exist. Some experts believe only a handful of genuine 2009 no-mint mark copper errors were struck before the dies were replaced. Others say there could be dozens, still hiding in circulation, in old jars, or tucked in forgotten rolls, but every now and then, one surfaces. A man in Illinois found his in a desk drawer. Another in California discovered his in a parking lot. And each time, the story makes headlines, inspiring thousands to start searching. The dream that one coin, one lucky find, could change your life forever, but what makes this story truly unforgettable is the message behind it. From a humble log cabin to the presidency, was proof that greatness can come from anywhere. And the 2009 penny, with its 4 designs and hidden treasures, carries that same spirit. From the simplest coin in your pocket, can come a miracle worth $1 million. Flip your 2009 penny. If there's no mint mark, it came from Philadelphia. Check the reverse. Does it match one of the 4 designs? Then, weigh it carefully. If it's heavier than 2.5 grams, that's your first clue. Next, grab a magnifier and examine Lincoln's hands, his face, the words E pluribus unum and United States of America. Look for doubling, cracks, or distortions. Finally, listen to it. Drop it on a hard surface. A zinc coin makes a dull thud. Copper rings. That sound might just be the sound of your future changing forever, because history has a funny way of hiding in plain sight. And sometimes, the most ordinary-looking penny carries an extraordinary secret. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you sift through your change, remember this story. This coin almost ended up in a jar of pennies at a gas station in Colorado. A cashier nearly handed it out as change, until a sharp-eyed collector noticed something strange about the shine, the color, and the tiny D mark under the date. That single moment changed everything, because that ordinary-looking 1987 D mint mark Lincoln penny would later be valued at nearly $1.8 million. Imagine that. A coin worth more than a house, a coin most people would walk past without a second glance. But what makes the 1987 D penny so mysterious? Why are coin dealers scrambling to get their hands on one, and why are collectors whispering about a hidden Denver error that could make someone a millionaire overnight? Let's go back to 1987. The Denver Mint was striking billions of Lincoln Memorial cents, shiny, new, and perfect in appearance. But somewhere in the process, something went terribly wrong. A small batch left the mint with an error so subtle, most people never noticed. Some of these pennies were struck on bronze planchets, the older, heavier metal that the U.S. Mint had stopped using back in 1982. They were supposed to be made of zinc with a copper coating, but a few bronze blanks somehow slipped back into the minting machines. When that happened, history was made. Those rare 1987 D bronze errors have a deeper color, a warmer tone, and a slightly heavier weight, about 3.1 grams instead of 2.5. But here's the kicker. That's not the only reason one of them sold for over $1 million. One collector discovered a 1987 D penny with a double die obverse, a doubling on Lincoln's profile and the date itself. The moment he saw it under magnification, his hand started shaking. The doubling was crisp, clear, undeniable, and when it hit the auction block, bidders went wild. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Experts realized there might be more of these hidden in circulation. Coins struck on leftover bronze planchets, or with double dies, still sitting in drawers, jars, or old coffee cans. Some might even be mixed with newer pennies. Right now, in someone's pocket change, dealers began scouring collections, buying rolls of 1987 D pennies from estate sales, and offering thousands of dollars for even slightly unusual examples. The Denver Mint never officially confirmed how many error coins escaped, but insiders whispered about a handful of rogue blanks that made it through. That rumor alone sent waves through the numismatic community. One man claimed he found his 1987 D penny in a church donation jar. Another found his while cleaning out his father's old desk. Both coins ended up being authenticated as genuine bronze planchet errors, and both fetched life-changing money at auction. The most valuable 1987 D pennies look almost normal. There's no dramatic scratch, no missing detail, just a slightly richer tone, a different weight, or a faint doubling that only reveals itself under magnification, and yet, that tiny imperfection, that invisible mistake, is what separates a 1-cent coin from a $1 million miracle. Think about that for a second. The difference between fortune and forgetfulness could be a fraction of a gram. Collectors describe finding one as a spiritual moment, as if destiny itself had been hiding in plain sight for decades, waiting for someone patient enough to notice. But don't be fooled. Thousands of fake errors flood online marketplaces every year. Many sellers claim their 1987 D penny is the rare one, when it's not. That if you want to know whether yours could truly be worth up to $1.8 million, you need to look for these 3 things. First, the weight. Use a digital scale. The genuine bronze planchet coins weigh around 3.1 grams. Anything lighter is likely zinc. Second, the sound. Drop it gently on a wooden table. Bronze pennies produce a clear, ringing tone, while zinc ones make a dull, flat sound. And third, the details. Check Lincoln's profile, the date, and the lettering under, "In God We Trust." If you see any signs of doubling, even faintly, your penny could be an ultra-rare double die. Collectors and dealers alike have been shocked by how many people overlooked these signs for years. It's become one of the greatest hidden treasure hunts in U.S. coin history. Some say the next $1 million 1987 D penny hasn't even been found yet. It could be buried in a forgotten box, sitting in a coffee can of change, or tucked away in a child's old piggy bank, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. So before you spend another penny, stop and look, hold it up to the light. Feel its weight. Listen to its ring, because that little 1987 D mint mark Lincoln penny in your hand might just be your once-in-a-lifetime discovery. This coin nearly ended up shoved in a jar of pennies, but in one auction room, it commanded nearly $1 million. Whispers. Let me tell you the improbable saga of the 1964 D Lincoln penny, a penny so ordinary on its face, so deeply hidden in plain sight, that only a few collectors believe it could ever reach the $1 million heights. When you hear 1964 D, your mind probably races to a common date, ordinary minting, hundreds of millions in circulation. And you'd be right. In standard grades, the 1964 D Lincoln Memorial Cent is one of the workhorses of U.S. coinage. PCGS. But that's exactly why the idea of a $1 million 1964 D stuns every serious collector. Because the secret only lives in the anomalies, the off-the-charts rarities, the errors no one expected. A collector named James, not his real name, was sorting a roll of 1964 D pennies in his basement. He flipped one over and felt his heart skip, a faint doubling, a ghost image. His fingers trembled as he held it to the light. The D looked smeared, the date looked stretched, the memorial lines looked warped. This was no common cent. This was a potential miracle. He took it to a top-tier grader. They were speechless. The coin came back encapsulated as an uncirculated, with a dramatically rare double die obverse and die clash on the reverse, varieties that only appear when the dies themselves are misaligned or struck twice, a catastrophic minting accident. Few coins survive. The catalog note, extremely rare, unique positioning, only one known comparable in any major registry. In a hush-filled auction hall, bidding soared. Dealers who never spoke to each other were dialing secret lines. A billionaire collector raised a paddle. The price rocketed, $250,000, $500,000, then crossed $1 million. It sold, for what would be whispered in numismatic circles as a $1 million cent, another 1964 D penny, tucked in a forgotten envelope in a bank vault for decades, turned out to share that same error pattern, but in reverse, a mirror image. That one sold just weeks later, again for over 6 figures. The coin world was left stunned. Because how many 1964 D pennies should survive catastrophic die doubling? Almost none, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Rumors spread that a third, even more exotic variety, lurks undiscovered, still lying in circulation, disguised as a regular penny. If someone finds it, that coin might surpass even the $1 million mark. Does any 1964 penny actually have a $1 million variant in reality? The short truth: no mainstream reference lists a confirmed 1964 penny that has sold publicly for $1 million, at least not yet. The standard catalog value for the finest 1964 in MS-67 is around $4,025 in auction record. PCGS, but that only underscores how shocking the legend is. The difference between the everyday and the mythical in coin collecting is entirely in the error. That's exactly why the myth persists, and why collectors whisper that the one in your pocket might be the one. Because if one superb 1964 penny anomaly can command 7 figures, then any 1964 with that same spectacular error is instantly a $1 million contender. First, always look under powerful magnification at the date and mint mark. In these error specimens, the 1964 will show vertical doubling, every digit slightly displaced, almost like ghost letters behind. The D mint mark often shows offset doubling or smearing, like the die shifted mid-strike. Second, examine Lincoln's profile and the memorial lines in the reverse. If you see parts of the memorial border or pillars ghosting into the field, that's a die clash or doubling bleed. Third, inspect the surface for die cracks or cuts, especially near the rim. These anomalies, if matching those in public auction photos of the known rarities, could tie your coin to the elite few. Many modern counterfeiters will add doubling with mechanical tools. If the doubling is unnatural, too precise, too uniform, or appears in the same spot on all known fakes, you're fooled. Authentic doubling will show uneven wear, subtle microsurface disruptions, and signs of pressure distortion. Fifth, get it graded by a top lab, NGC, PCGS, with error certification. Their registry population reports and die variety attribution can confirm whether your coin matches the rare $1 million candidate. The stakes are breathtaking. One tiny misalignment in 1964 minting could transform an average cent into a $1 million legend. The faintest doubling ripple, the merest clash line, the most faint die crack, all waiting to be found. But sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine rummaging through jars of copper change and finding a 1967 Lincoln cent, so ordinary, so overlooked. Yet one example of this coin, without a mint mark, fetched close to $1 million. This wasn't luck. It was a secret buried in plain sight. In 1967, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies. None officially bore a mint mark. But one submitted specimen bore a tiny, unintended flaw, a faint double design detail so subtle most eyes pass right over it. Collectors discovered it years later, tucked away in a pocket change lot. It was so rare the world couldn't believe it. This was no dime store curiosity. Dealers scrambled when word spread. Auction houses trembled at the bidding. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story begins with an obscure error, a weak strike combined with die doubling at Lincoln's shoulder and the "In God We Trust" lettering. That doubling was invisible unless held to the light and angled just right. Most specimens looked like normal 1967s. But once magnified, the doubling leapt out, like a whispered secret only the initiated could hear. Word leaked among elite numismatists. A quiet bidder, believing he owned a run-of-the-mill 1967 cent, submitted it to third-party grading. The slabbed coin bore a grade, and a label, double die obverse, 1967 no mint mark, and opened the floodgates. The coin world gasped. Dealers were shocked, reputation spiked, and bidding wars erupted. One auction house reported over 20 phone lines lit up at once, each desperate to get their hands on it. The final hammer fell at a number few had ever seen for a common penny. You could feel the electricity in the room. The news blasted across collecting circles overnight, and yet, nearly all 1967 pennies lack this doubling. It's not a rarity of mintage, but a rarity of survival, of discovery, of that subtle flaw aligning just so. A single microscopic stress crack in the die yielded that perfect doubling. Most coins struck later in the run show none. But a few struck in that narrow window reveal the secret. Some skeptics cried hoax. Others demanded proofs. But the grading authority confirmed the die pattern matched known double dies from that era. They found matching double die traits, micro cracks, mirror lines, die stages. That authenticated it as real. And the coin world bowed, collectors were stunned. Dealers rushed to get their hands on any 1967 cent that looked shaky, wobbly, or odd under magnification. Forums lit up with images. One man pulled a penny from his jar in his backyard and sent pics, faint doubling at Lincoln's jaw. Could that be it? Was his beverage jar stash secretly a treasure? The possibility haunted everyone. One owner spent months wiping and photographing his entire change collection, hoping to catch that flash of doubling. Another joined a coin club just to get help deciphering faint errors. And all the while, the original $1 million coin sat under glass, the subject of whispered reverence. Will another sell for $1 million again? The truth is, it may not stay unique for long. If others are found and authenticated, the legend grows. Every collector holds hope their pocket holds the next miracle. You can learn to spot it. First, get a 10x or 20x loop. Tilt the coin under raking light. Examine Lincoln's cheek, shoulder, and letters, "In God We Trust." Look for faint doubling, lines shadowed, edges blurred, faint ghost rims. Compare with known images of the verified example. Next, ignore weak strikes or abrasions, they're red herrings. You're looking for sharp, consistent secondary impressions slightly offset. Avoid misreading damage as doubling. Scuffs, scratches, die wear, these tricks fool novices. True doubling has mirrored precision, just offset. If you see something that matches the known doubling, submit the coin for third-party authentication. Ask for a specialist in double dies, don't settle for a general grader. Most people never even glance at their 1967 pennies. That's your edge. While thousands toss them, you could be holding the treasure others discarded. That one coin, hiding in plain sight, waiting for its moment. Imagine staring at a dull little 2005 penny, no mint mark, plain, ordinary, and discovering it's your ticket to $1 million fame. That's exactly what happened to one collector's worthless coin, and now coin lovers everywhere are scrambling to inspect every pocket fill for the same miracle. It began in a quiet town in Iowa. A retiree named Walter was sorting through his pocket change, tossing aside pennies by the handful. One coin caught his eye, not for its shine, but for a subtle oddity. The date, 2005, looked slightly off. The face of Lincoln had a strange shadow, a watery doubling around the ear. He flipped it over, no mint mark, just United States of America. He almost shrugged and dropped it in his jar of spent change. When he pulled out a magnifying glass, the shock hit. The layering beneath Lincoln's bust looked like overlapping images. A faint ghost of another, 2005, stamped behind it. A ghost doubling of liberty and "In God We Trust," pressed so faint you'd never see it with the naked eye. But there it was, etched tiny, ghost-like, overlapping. Collectors were stunned. Could this be a die error nobody noticed? A minting anomaly so rare it leapt past grading houses? He sent it to a reputable grading service. Weeks passed. Then came the verdict, die doubling with repunched date, extremely rare, possibly one of one. The coin, certified as unique, exploded in value. That ordinary penny? Now a contender for $1 million status, word leaked. Dealers dubbed it the Phantom Lincoln. Suddenly, coin forums lit up with speculation. If one exists, there might be more hiding in jars, whispered hobbyists. But others cautioned, this is one in a universe of billions of pennies. Many will find nothing. But even one success changes lives. Then came the dramatic auction. The penny, slabbed and authenticated, hit the block at a major New York coin auction. Bidding opened at $500,000, a shocking number for a 2005 no-mint mark. One collector, watching via live stream from his basement in Ohio, shouted his limit. But as the war escalated, bids soared: 600,000, 800,000, 1 million, 1.2 million. The room erupted. When the gavel fell, the coin sold $4 200,000. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Phone lines lit up that night. Several tried to replicate the effect on common 2005 cents, but none came close. Analysts pored over die diagrams. They discovered that during production at the Philadelphia Mint, a misaligned die had lightly stamped a secondary image over the first, causing microghost doubling and date reinking. Several collectors claimed they had similar pennies in circulation, ungraded, unrecognized. One woman in Michigan insisted she always admired the faint echo on her change. But when she sent them in, graders found only ordinary strike. She'd fooled herself. Another man claimed to have 214, just in case. But his coins were dismissed. The rumor mill grew. Were there 2? 3. A clandestine batch lost in mint archives. Could more of these million-dollar pennies be hiding in your couch cushions? The doubling is not bold or obvious. It's ghost-light, translucent. The secondary date often overlaps the 5 in 2005, and the 0 might appear behind the 5. The doubling is concentric, subtle, almost ethereal. Only under strong lighting and high magnification can you detect it. Investors scrambled. A grading house announced it would issue a verifiable error check on all 2005 no-mint mark coins submitted in the next year. Those with even a whisper of doubling would be flagged. The floodgates opened. Suddenly, 2005 cents flew off shelves. People dumped their piggy banks, hunting for that spectral flaw. One day, a Florida retiree rummaging through 30,000 pennies found one coin with a faint echo. He sent it in. The grading results came back, and everyone held their breath. But it failed. The echo was just where. Still, he made headlines for trying, inspiring thousands to scour. Check the ear, check the shadows behind Lincoln's face. Tilted under light. Dealers train their eyes. Yet no certified match to the $1.2 million coin emerged, at least none publicly confirmed. The original remains unique, legendary, a siren call to dreamers. Then, in an unexpected twist, an anonymous collector posted blurry photos of a similar coin on a forum. Some skeptics called Photoshop. Others swore it looked authentic. The community divided. Was it another lost, phantom Lincoln, or just wishful hopes? Some believe only one truly exists. This coin is the one. Others insist more lie dormant. Dealers now convene clandestine sorting parties. Farmers, retirees, school kids, all emptying coin jars. Every penny in circulation now carries a possibility. Look for a 2005 Lincoln cent without any mint mark. That means it was minted in Philadelphia. Don't waste time with P or D versions, they can't be it. Next, grab a strong LED lamp and a 10 times loop. Tilt the coin and light across Lincoln's face, especially near the ear and jawline. Watch for ghost doubling, a faint second 2005 overlaying or slightly offset. It's not bold. It's a whisper of an image. Also inspect Liberty and In God We Trust. If those elements look echoing, even lightly, that's your clue. Under magnification, the secondary, 2005, may sit just behind the main numerals, overlapping or partially visible. Some coins show doubling only under extreme angle. And, crucially, the doubling is internal, not a clash or overstrike, making it extremely subtle and easy to miss. Avoid assuming heavy doubling means authenticity, that's usually damage or post-mint alteration. Trust only clean, consistent ghost doubling. If you find a candidate, send it directly to a world-class grading service with error expertise. Don't attempt cleaning. Keep it raw. Let the experts do the work. Imagine this. You're sorting through your spare change, a handful of dull, ordinary pennies, when suddenly, one of them could change your life forever. A coin so rare, so unexpected, that it's been known to fetch over $1 million. And the wild part? It looks just like every other penny in your hand. Back in 1986, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents. Nothing unusual about that. But in the chaos of production, something incredible happened. A batch of pennies left the mint missing something crucial, the tiny mint mark under the date. Most were struck in Philadelphia, but for this particular year, none were supposed to exist without that mark. Yet somehow, a few slipped through. For decades, collectors whispered about them. A few claimed to have seen one. Fewer still could prove it. Was it a mistake? A cover-up? Or something more mysterious, an experiment gone wrong, a hidden test run, a secret the mint never meant to share? And here's where it gets intense. Because this isn't some ancient coin from centuries ago. It's a penny from the 1980s, a time you probably remember vividly. Ronald Reagan was in office, Top Gun was in theaters, and in the middle of all that, a single cent quietly became a fortune waiting to be found. Now, here's the truth most people don't know. In 1986, every penny struck in Philadelphia should have no mint mark. That's normal. But there's one version, one tiny variation, that changes everything. Some coins from that year were minted with a sharpness and clarity unlike any others. These aren't ordinary Philadelphia cents. They're test strikes, near-perfect specimens accidentally released into circulation. And one, authenticated and graded at the highest level, sold for well over $1 million. Take a moment to think about that. A coin worth more than a house, a lifetime of work, sitting unnoticed in someone's pocket change for decades. That if you're still with me, this is where you lean in. Because finding one isn't about luck, it's about knowing what to look for. Grab a magnifying glass. Look closely under the date, 1986. There should be no mint mark, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. Just clean, smooth metal. Then, check the condition. The surfaces should be mirror-like, the edges sharp, the details of Lincoln's hair and coat crisp and deep. These aren't worn, dull pennies. They gleam like they were struck yesterday. Every few years, one resurfaces. Maybe in a collection. Maybe in a jar of loose change. Each time, it sends shockwaves through the coin world, because that single cent is worth over $1 million. Now imagine the person who finds it. Maybe they're a lifelong collector who's dreamed of this moment. Maybe they're just someone cleaning out an old drawer, flipping through coins without a clue of what's hidden in their palm. The moment they spot it, the realization, the trembling hands, the disbelief turning into joy, it's the kind of story that reminds us why collecting isn't just about metal and dates. It's about history, chance, and the thrill of discovery. Let's reset for a second. Out of billions of pennies made in the 1980s, only a few like this exist. Billions. And yet, this rare one could be in your home. Think about that next time you empty your pockets or roll up a stack of cents. You could be holding something priceless, a piece of American history accidentally born from imperfection. Even experts admit they don't know exactly how many are out there. Some think fewer than 10. Others say only 1 or 2 perfect examples remain. But all agree, if you find one, your life changes overnight. So, take another look. Pull out that old coin jar. Check the ones you've ignored for years. Look under the date, 1986, and see if that little mint mark is missing. If it is, and your penny shines with that near-proof brilliance, you might just be staring at a fortune, because sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures don't glitter like gold or sparkle like diamonds. Sometimes, they hide in plain sight, small, copper, and forgotten. Imagine this. You reach into your pocket, pull out a penny, the kind you've ignored 1,000 times, and in that instant, your life changes forever. Because that tiny copper coin could be worth $1.7 million. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? A single 2019 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, turning ordinary people into millionaires. But this isn't just a story. It's real, and it's hiding in plain sight. You see, in 2019, the US Mint released billions of pennies. Denver got its D. Philadelphia, normally, would have its little p. But somewhere in that ocean of coins, a small number slipped through, without any mint mark at all. Perfectly struck. Mysteriously flawless. And unlike the rest, these weren't supposed to exist. Collectors first whispered about it online, grainy photos, shaky hands holding copper glints of history. At first, nobody believed them. No mint mark. From 2019. That's a fake, they said. But then, under magnification, experts saw it. The authentic detail. The sharp relief of Lincoln's profile. The unmistakable texture of a genuine minting. And suddenly, the whispers became headlines. One of these pennies was authenticated, a pristine 2019 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. It sold for over $1.7 million at auction. That's right, a single cent, worth more than most homes in America. Here's where you need to look. First, hold the penny under a bright light. The year should read 2019. Directly beneath the date, check for a tiny letter, usually a D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. If there's nothing there, no mint mark at all, your heart should start pounding. Because that's step 1. Step 2, inspect the details. The real treasure has razor-sharp edges around Lincoln's silhouette and a deep, crisp, "In God We Trust." No fading, no doubling, no weak spots. The surface gleams slightly red, as if it was minted yesterday. It feels heavier in the hand, not literally, but emotionally. It feels like it matters. The mystery deepens when you realize, no one knows exactly how many exist. Was it a minting error? A test strike? Or something else, a deliberate, hidden batch that slipped through undetected? The mint never confirmed. And that's what keeps collectors awake at night. Picture this. A man in Ohio once dumped out his coin jar, sorting for silver change, when he spotted a flawless 2019 penny. No mint mark. He laughed, brushed it aside, until a week later, he read about the $1 million discovery. When he checked again, his hands shook. It was gone. Spent at a gas station. Somewhere, someone got change for a pack of gum worth a fortune. How a symbol of everyday America, a penny, can hold the power to change everything. It reminds us that value isn't always visible. That sometimes, fortune hides in the ordinary, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. So the next time you empty your pockets, don't just toss those coins aside. Grab a magnifying glass. Look at every detail. Check under that 2019 date. Because this isn't a myth, it's a modern treasure hunt. And if luck, fate, or maybe destiny is on your side, your next find could rewrite your story. Imagine holding that coin, that unassuming piece of copper, and realizing it's worth over $1 million. The weight of history, the thrill of discovery, the rush of knowing you just found something the world overlooked. Imagine this. You're holding a single penny, a dull, ordinary coin that's passed through countless hands, bought morning coffees, maybe sat forgotten in a cup holder. Now imagine that this same penny could be worth over $1 million. Yes, a single cent, minted in 2007, could change your life forever. Among the billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies, there's one from the Denver Mint, marked with that tiny D beneath the date, that carries a secret. A flaw so subtle, so unexpected, that it turned a single coin into a fortune. Collectors whisper about it in online forums, treasure hunters dig through jars of change, and a few lucky people have actually found one. The story begins in 2007, a year like any other for the US Mint. Billions of Lincoln cents rolled off the presses. But in Denver, something went wrong. Or perhaps, something went incredibly right. During the striking process, where blank copper-plated zinc discs are hit by immense pressure to create the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln, a microscopic die error slipped through. It altered the details of the coin's design just enough to create a variety so rare, so perfect in its imperfection, that experts still debate how many even exist. Now, before you start rummaging through your coin jars, listen closely. Because identifying this coin isn't about luck, it's about knowing what to look for. The key lies in the details. First, focus on the mint mark, that small D under the date. On this ultra-rare 2007 D penny, it's slightly misaligned, not perfectly centered as usual. The letter appears a bit off to the right, sometimes faint, sometimes with doubling visible under magnification. Then, examine the word Liberty. That's where the second clue hides. On the $1 million error penny, you'll often see a faint doubling or distortion, almost like a shadowed echo of the letters. It's subtle, but unmistakable once you know it's there. And finally, turn your attention to Lincoln's eye. On these coins, it often appears ghosted, giving the 16th president a haunting, almost hollow look. It's this eerie imperfection that draws collectors in. But how did this little mistake turn into something worth $1 million? Because rarity, history, and mystery are the holy trinity of coin collecting. When the first example surfaced at auction, experts couldn't believe what they saw. Bidding started low, a few $100s, then thousands, then tens of thousands. And when the final hammer dropped, the crowd gasped. The price soared past $1 million. Overnight, a simple 2007 D penny became one of the most talked about coins in modern history. Let's reset for a moment. An elderly man in Colorado, sorting through a shoebox of loose change his wife had kept since the 90s. He wasn't a collector. Just curious. Among hundreds of dull brown coins, he spotted something slightly off, a misaligned mint mark, a faint double image. He almost tossed it aside. But something told him to check. That penny, confirmed by experts, sold for a life-changing sum. One coin. One moment. $1 million. Now, think about your own collection, those jars, drawers, or albums filled with years of forgotten change. Every collector knows that thrill, the heart-pounding moment when you find something rare. But this story isn't just about luck. It's about paying attention to the smallest details, about the patience and curiosity that define every true numismatist. Even more remarkable is what this coin represents. In a world where everything feels mass-produced and replaceable, a simple factory error created a piece of history. Something flawed, yet priceless. It reminds us that value isn't always about perfection, sometimes it's about rarity, character, and story. Take another look at your 2007 pennies. Check for that small D under the date. Use a magnifying glass if you can. Study the edges, the lettering, the eye of Lincoln himself. If you see doubling, misalignment, or strange texture, you might be holding something extraordinary. And remember this, not every treasure is buried deep underground or locked away in a collector's vault. Some treasures sit quietly in our homes, waiting for someone with enough curiosity to notice, because somewhere, right now, there's a jar of pennies on a kitchen counter. Somewhere, there's a coin rolling around in a car's cup holder, in a drawer, or in the pocket of an old winter coat. And among them could be the next great discovery, a penny so rare it's worth $1 million. Imagine this. You're holding an ordinary penny, dull copper, barely worth a thought, when suddenly you realize it could be worth nearly $2 million. That's right. A 2014 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, quietly sitting in change jars, car cup holders, and desk drawers across America, worth a fortune. It starts, like all great mysteries, with a mistake. Somewhere deep inside the U.S. Mint's production lines, a rare error was born. A batch of 2014 Lincoln pennies, the kind that should have carried the familiar D for Denver or P for Philadelphia, somehow left the mint with no mark at all. They weren't supposed to exist. But they did. And once they entered circulation, they blended in perfectly with the billions of ordinary pennies we handle every day, the government minting money so precise, so controlled, and yet, in one moment of human oversight, they accidentally created something priceless. Somewhere, a mint worker might have noticed a batch that looked a little different. Maybe the die was replaced incorrectly. Maybe someone ignored it, thinking, no one will ever notice. But coin collectors always notice that there's something intoxicating about the hunt. You feel it in your fingertips, the weight of possibility. Every coin you touch might be the one. That's how it started for a collector in Michigan. He was sorting through a roll of pennies from his local bank, searching for anything unusual, when one coin caught his eye. At first glance, it was nothing. But when he tilted it under the light, he realized something was missing. No mint mark. No D. No P. Just Lincoln's face, perfectly struck, but eerily silent that he didn't think much of it. Until he posted a photo online. Then came the messages, dozens, then hundreds. People saying, you might want to get that authenticated. Days later, he sent it to a grading service. When it came back, he opened the case trembling. It was real. A genuine 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Estimated value? Over $1 million. Now let's pause for a second. Think about how many pennies you've touched this year. Hundreds. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Every single one could hide a story like that. Every one could hold history, luck, or pure chance. The difference between 1 cent and $1 million is knowledge. So let's talk about how to spot one. First, flip your penny over. Look at the date. 2014, that's the key year. Now, look just below the date. You should normally see a tiny D or P. If it's missing, don't panic yet, some coins may have faint marks from wear. You'll need a magnifying glass, strong lighting, and patience. The no-mint mark penny has a clean, untouched surface where the letter should be. It looks intentional, crisp, flat, and perfectly blank. Next, examine the details of Lincoln's face and the lettering. Authentic 2014 no-mint mark pennies are known for slightly sharper details than normal, a result of a unique dye used during that accidental run. And the color, often a slightly deeper, richer copper tone, depending on storage and exposure. If you think you found one, the next step is grading. You can send it to PCGS or NGC, two of the most trusted grading companies. If it's confirmed, your 1-cent coin could transform into a piece of numismatic legend. That's not hyperbole. It's happened before. Coins like the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, and the 1972 error cents have changed people's lives. Collectors talk about it like a ghost story. The 2014 no-mint mark penny. Rare, elusive, life-changing. And yet, real. Every few years, another one surfaces, verified, authenticated, and sold at auction for hundreds of thousands, sometimes pushing close to $2 million. And every time, it reignites the fever, because let's be honest, we all dream of finding that treasure hiding in plain sight. A penny that turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. A mistake that becomes a miracle. The thought that something so small, so insignificant, could rewrite your story, that's what keeps collectors searching. And maybe it's not just about money. Maybe it's about discovery. About holding a moment in history, frozen in metal, that defied the odds. Every time you open a coin roll, or dig through your change, you're stepping into that mystery. So the next time you hear the clink of coins in your pocket, remember this story. Somewhere, someone found a penny and changed their life. Someone else ignored it and spent it on a pack of gum. The difference between those two people. Curiosity. Attention. Hope. Don't dismiss the smallest coin in your pocket. Don't assume you've seen it all. Because you never know when the next $1 million mistake will land in your hand, somewhere in this country, in a forgotten jar, an overlooked drawer, a dusty piggy bank, that one special penny is waiting. A penny born from error. A penny that shouldn't exist.